Abbas. I am a CEO of Titan Title and Counsel, and I am super excited to be here with an incredible superstar. I can't even say enough about Alishaan, but let's go ahead and start. So, if you've never been to our virtual mastermind, and I'm sorry if I keep looking all over the place, I am trying to admit everybody at the same time that I am doing this. But if you've never been to one of our virtual masterminds, I will tell you that what we do it every month, it's virtual. We bring people from across the nation in order to talk about certain topics that are of interest to our realtor community. And this is open to anyone across the United States. So it doesn't matter if you are in Virginia, Maryland, DC, or Florida, where our footprint is. We would love to have you joining on our virtual masterminds. Part of this is to mastermind with like-minded people. That being said, I want everybody to take a minute and in the chat, go ahead and put your name, your contact information, and what areas you service. Because at the end of the day, what makes us better at our jobs is that if we are working with like-minded people. So we want to make sure that we are referring people across the country with like-minded people that think the same way that we do. Like I said, we only take an hour of your time, so we are going to end at 3 no matter what. We love to have a conversation, so if you have any questions, put them in the chat so that I can ask them, or put your hand up, and we will go ahead and do that. So I want to go ahead and introduce our speaker for this session. He's in Bakersfield, California. Alishaan Abbas is the founder and team leader of the Alishaan Abbas real estate team at Keller Williams in Bakersfield, California. From 2020 to 2024, he was the top producing agent in transactions sold at his former brokerage, with his team assisting over 100 families annually. Alishaan became licensed real estate agent in June 2018 and earned his broker license in May 2021. He now serves as a broker associate at Keller Williams Realty. He holds a degree in business administration from San Diego State University and is currently going to law school, you guys, at the Monterey College of Law, full time, by the way. Since founding his team in 2020, Alishaan has remained dedicated to providing a seamless buying and selling experience. He also serves as a director at his local association of realtors. And in 2024, his team closed 152 transactions with a total sales volume of 50 million. Now, I will tell you that this bio doesn't do you service, my friend, because he is even more incredible than what his bio says. He lives a very balanced life. He's never made a cold call, and he still does a lot of transactions. So today we're going to be digging in on how can you create more business? How can you do even better working your database? So Alishaan, tell us a little bit of your story, please.
Well, I think you summed up my bio pretty well, but yes, I got licensed in 2018 and I didn't really know what I was doing in 2018. I had just graduated when I was 20 years old from San Diego State. I moved back to Bakersfield and I left beautiful sunny San Diego for hot Bakersfield. If you guys know where Bakersfield is, we're like the armpit of California, people like to say. Um, but I started, standing at open houses. And so that's how I started my career. I found that I am a people person and I like to talk to people face to face. That's what I'm good at. I'm not great at, I can cold call and I've done it before, but it's not my strength by any means. If you put someone in front of me, you can see their facial
Good.
expressions, their hand gestures. You can look at them in the eyes. And so that's kind of where I started. And in 2018, I was maybe, in June I started. By the end of 2018, I was kind of questioning, do I belong in this industry or not? And in 2018, I closed about 5 transactions. In 2019, I had been with Mike Ferris. I'm a Mike Ferry trained agent for about 6 months, and I went to the January production retreat. And Mike Ferry went over his 21 points, and I kind of adapted that to buyers because I was doing a lot of open houses. So in 2019, I did about 90 open houses in that year, and I closed 59 transactions that year. 50% of them were from open houses. And then, I would call myself the open house king because, I was good at it. I was good at converting either, the listings I was standing at or taking them to other properties. And then COVID happened in 2020, and I started shitting my pants a little bit because I couldn't do open houses. So I had to switch to something else, and cold calling it wasn't really what I wanted to do. So I turned to working my sphere, and that really started from a place of wanting to help families. And back in 2020, we didn't know what was happening. It seemed like the whole world shut down on us. And so it was just really calls I was making to my past clients that I helped in 2018 and 2019 of how are you doing? Are you okay? How can I help you? Is there anything I can do? Because at that point, we were all just trying to survive. So, we would take our masks and, drop stuff off for them, make sure everyone was okay. And I think that really started my time of working my sphere. In that, I think COVID happened maybe what, in March or April, somewhere around there is when that happened. In June of 2020, I closed 15 transactions like in the pandemic, and I said, okay, I think I can make this work. I think I can make working my sphere work, even though I didn't have a really big sphere at that point. The biggest tip that I learned was to make your
Wait,
client,
Alishaan, I want to make a pause because for us here in Virginia, Maryland, DC, and even Florida, COVID
yeah,
was some of our best years because nothing, we could still go do our thing. But in California, where he was, everything shut down. They weren't allowing like all these things. Like it was a real struggle
yeah.
when it came to actually having to work this. So I want you to back up and I want you to talk a little bit about, a lot of the times realtors are said, hey, work your sphere. But when you started in real estate and you were kind of newish, you didn't have a lot of past clients. So
And
how,
have a sphere.
yeah, so you didn't have a real sphere. So when we talk about building your sphere, what did you start to do in order to build that sphere, build that database?
So, my coach at that time, they said just start with the spreadsheet, go on Excel, go on Google Sheets, whatever works for you, keep it simple. I still have the same spreadsheet. I don't have a fancy CRM system, now at this point, but I just started adding people that I would talk to. I would add their names, I would add their emails and their phone numbers. And I just started accumulating, all of these names. I think now I have my database is about uncleaned up, I would say maybe about 700 people, but I would say my solid database is around 500 people or so. I just started adding people in there and making time in my week to talk to these individuals every week and um, just reach out to see how I can serve them. But I'm a people person, so I go out and I talk to people, and I want people to feel special. At the end of the day, you don't know what people are going through on a daily basis, or if they're having a bad day or a good day, and you don't know what people are what's going on behind the scenes. So if you can, open a door for someone, smile at someone, make them feel special, make them feel like they deserve to be here, they're gonna start to be one of your biggest cheerleaders. And I think we talked a little bit, Sarah, of, previously, there's that theory where, if you don't see any red cars, and then if you talk about a red car, you're going to start seeing red cars everywhere. So if you're at the top of your client's mind and they're thinking about a realtor because you were their realtor, they're going to start to hear all of these conversations around them of people who need to buy, need to sell. And we want them to be our biggest cheerleaders because they're doing our prospecting for us at the end of the day. And if we made them feel really, really special and they didn't have a horror story buying their home or selling their home, they're going to refer us to all of their friends and their family. So that's kind of what it is now. We get, I would say, maybe 5 to 10 referrals every week or two. And that's most of our business now to this day.
Wow, that's excellent. And we want everybody who's here to get to that. So when you say that I mean, obviously you love people, and by the way, we met through our coach. We coach with the same person. And she is amazing, Tabitha. And she's the type of person that she's like, okay, this is what you're supposed to do, but how do we take it to your strengths? So one of the conversations that Alishan and I had was, Well, let's talk about our strengths because we believe that when you are in your authenticity, when you are being who you really are, that you're going to go out there and you're really going to kill it. You're going to talk to more
Yeah.
people because you feel great. You're being consistent because it's something that's playing to your strengths. So, how did you determine what your strengths were and how do you, go out there? Like, do you have a system in mind that says, okay, I need to go out there and talk to at least three new people and put them in my database every day to grow it? Or how do you go around to making sure that database is growing and that you're growing your business with it?
Well, so to your first question, I was always told by my coach and my parents at the end of the day that in your position, because you are the CEO of your business, you should know how to play all roles. So, for example, if you own a restaurant, you should know how to be the chef, you should know how to be the waiter, you should know how to be the server, let people, sit them down. So, I started just kind of doing everything. I was TCing my own files. I became TC certified. I started doing, all of my admin work myself. And then at that point, it just became overwhelming. So a quick note, if you're doing 25, 30 deals plus, get an assistant. And I know we'll talk about, maybe what my dream team looks like in a little bit, but um, that's kind of how that went. And I'm a very type A person. I love to talk to people. I do not like micromanaging my transactions. I can do it when I have to. One quote that I really like that Tabitha told me is inspect what you expect. So if you expect someone to do something on your team, or if you expect one of your partners to do something, make sure you don't just expect them to do it and delegate it to them and then hope it gets done at the end of the day or the next day, actually make sure that it was completed or that it's in progress. But it was just a lot of trial and error, seeing what works for me, what I like to do. And I'm good at what I'm good at, and I'm not good at a lot of things, but I'm really good at, negotiating and putting deals together and talking to people and making people feel important. I think I'm really good at inspiring people to know that they're worth it. They can do it. They can accomplish, whatever they set their mind to and whatever their goal is. And I think at the end of the day, everything else I kind of just push to the side because if I spend time doing those other activities, it takes away from what I'm really good at, and I need to stay in my money making activities and producing at the end of the day.
So let's talk about your money making activities, because I think that's going to go back to how do you keep growing your database. I tell my team here all the time, and I'm like, are you focused on your money making activities? Because trust me, just like you guys as realtors, as title companies, sometimes we come and we look up and it's like, oh my God, my day has gone through. Tell me, what are your money making activities?
So I really, really, really believe whether anyone thinks it's BS or not, I think one of the biggest things we can do in this business is have a very, very strong and positive mindset. That's how I start my day every day. For example, if I go to an open house, if 3 or 4 people walk in, because sometimes they're slow, sometimes we have 10, 20 people, and sometimes we have 2 or 3 people. It is what it is. Why can't those 2 or 3 people come in, be really, really good leads? Who is it to say that we have to talk to 10, 15, 20 people to convert one lead? So I tried it and I test myself all the time. I said, I'm going to have the best open house ever. I am going to convert. I always have a goal in my mind. I am going to get, 2 solid leads, and one of them I'm going to convert. They're going to get approved and they're going to go into escrow this upcoming week. We sit at this open house. It was a little weird. There was some rain, some lightning. We got 4 people that came in, and every single one of them were like, we're ready to buy a house and we want to get pre-approved. And I'm shopping with all 4 of them this week after this 1 2 hour open house that we had over the weekend. So I think that your mindset is about 95% of the battle. We can't sit at home in our bed and like hope our mindset's going to do the job, because that's also not realistic. We have to do some sort of prospecting, whether it's, attempting to reach out to your sphere. Some people on here may be really good with social media and some may not be, but you can post anything. You can post like, oh, this is my coffee order today, and you're staying at the top of people's feed, and people are gonna, swipe up, oh, what is it? Oh, and pumpkin spice is back at Starbucks. So there's a Starbucks everywhere. You can post about it. Go get a pumpkin spice latte, post it, and you're gonna, have someone that doesn't know about it already. and just kind of engage with people. So I do that in real life. I do that on social media. I don't get a lot of business from social media. Some members on my team, they get 25 to 35 deals every year just from social media. But I'm really good at like the in-person stuff and start with your mindset. I would say start with whatever prospecting works for you, whatever that means to you. But if you're gonna do something, give it your all and believe that you can do it and that you can do it as best as possible. That's that. But I would say learn what you're good at and don't do what you're not good at. I don't focus on cold calling because I don't consistently do it.
Right. And we're going to talk about consistency in a minute. But so part of your money making activities, you would say, is that you love talking to people in person. For you, it seems that you have a good conversion rate in open houses. And I want to talk about that in a second. But just to again reframe for everybody the conversation, what
Sure.
he's saying is he loves being in front of people. He loves having the mindset of being and talking to people, but he also has tracked his activities, has tracked to see how many conversations he needs to have in order to get appointments and to convert leads, and he's constantly tracking to see if he can become better, right? So again, it's not just about this theory of the secret that you manifest, like he's putting some work behind it. He knows work is work, real estate is work, but he's going into what his strength is, which is the open houses, the talking into person, and putting himself actively in those so that he can convert those leads. And then he goes with a plan. When he goes to those open houses, he's not just wishing that he gets a lead. He's like, I'm going to come out of here with one lead, right? So, how many times do we go to networking appointments or do we go to any of these things that we go out there and we go with an intention of this is how many leads I want to get out of coming to this? So, I
Mhm.
think that's very powerful is the intention that you go in with what like I'm making a money making activity every day and this is what my strength is, but I'm going to be consistent about it.
Yeah, and if you're not great at negotiating yet, or you don't feel like you can convert a client really well, there are activities you can do that I used to do all the time. Like I would knock 5 doors to the left, 5 doors to the right, 10 across. I would cold call the neighborhood, invite them to our open house. You can do like a little raffle, a little Starbucks gift card at the end of the day. So there's tricks you can do to get people to your open houses, but that's what I did so I can get these people in front of me. The more people I had in front of me, the better chance that I had. But I also really remain in a place of gratitude every day. Like I'm gonna pick on Reggie because I can see him. He's wearing the coolest bow tie, coolest glasses, coolest shirt, and he gets to wake up and wear whatever he wants to wear. And I get to wear this cool shirt, cool color, and do what I want. And I just kind of bring that energy to everything that I do at the end of the day. And you gotta have fun with it. I have fun with it every day. And if you go in like, oh, I'm a realtor, like, oh, I have to sell a house, you're not gonna be successful. But I go in with the attitude like I am the best real estate professional in my area, and I know that I am. And if I don't help you buy a house or sell a house, I'm doing you such a disservice because I'm allowing someone else to do it. So I have to get in front of you. I have to, do my job. And at the end of the day, we all get paid really well for what we do. So why wouldn't I want to do more of it?
I love it. Okay, let's talk about open houses. Open
Yes.
houses can be hit or miss. What's your playbook for making them a gold mine instead of a time suck? Maybe give our realtors that are here maybe 3 tips on what do you do in order to make sure that they're a gold mine and that you can convert these people.
So definitely make sure that they're advertised ahead of time in your MLS if possible. I don't stand there for 3 or 4 hours. I only do 2 hour open houses. I learned this trick a long time ago because usually the same people who are interested in this open house are going to go to the open house, whether it's 3 hours or 4 hours or 5 hours. Why not make it 2 hours and have more people funnel into those 2 hours? Other than that, I don't do the whole cookies thing. Some of you guys might, if it's hot, yeah, have some waters or something like that. But I always have a loan officer partner with me who can qualify someone on the spot if they need. And lastly, just have a good attitude. Um, Look at what price points you're doing. I know everyone's price points may be different here, but for example, our average price point here in Bakersfield, it's 400 to 500. I know that if I do a $300,000 price point, it's going to be packed because it's under our average price. If I'm standing at a six, $700,000 house, it might be a little bit slower. So I'm a little bit more picky with where I choose to spend my time, and I track it. At the end of the day, if I know I'm going to only get two people, I would rather go to a three or 350, 400 price point and get 10 or 20 people at the end of the day. So just be a little bit more picky with where you spend your time.
I love that. Again, I mean, I can't tell you. It's like you're talking to my team because I tell them I'm like I'm constantly looking at the ROI. Who am I spending time with and what's that converting, right? You have to fill certain buckets because we all have a certain number of hours in the day. And there's certain things that we have to do either because it's making me a better person, it's filling my bucket, like my kids, my friends, my family members, they fill my heart bucket, right? Or they're making you money. Like it's okay to say that and then go to activities that are going to help you consistently do that. Now, tell me, what are the top two or three money making activities that you never skip, no matter how crazy your week gets? I can tell one of them is open houses and you're very intentional about it. What are two other ones?
Um, I really try to stay at the top of mind with I have an A list for my sphere, and then I have the rest of my clients, my past clients at the end of the day. So for my A list, it's not necessarily a daily thing, but at least a weekly or a bi-weekly thing. I like to do some things to make them feel special, make them feel like I'm still thinking about them and that they were not just a transaction. One tip that I learned a long time ago when I first started out as a realtor that I still remember to this day by the individual who was onboarding us. She talked about how there's little things and very inexpensive things we can do. Where, for example, if it's in the middle of summer and your client bought a house with a pool, go to the dollar store, go get a little cheap pool floaty, go write a quick note and drop it off at their door and knock on the door. And, you know, someone knowing that you went out of your way to do something for them makes them feel really special. So I still do that. I've kind of converted that to pop buys with my A list. I have different pop buys for my A list versus the rest of my clients. And then I just make sure to like engage with my clients either on social media. Some of them are not on social media, like their posts, comment on their posts, but also just through text or pick up the phone and call them. And I like to really keep track of the details that they tell me. So if they say, little Donald was at a soccer game last time and they're 3 years old and they give you a few more details about their day, the next time that you talk to them, ask them about how Donald did in that game. Did they win? What was the score? How did your day go? How's work going? And really know the important details about their lives. Because I found that people love to talk about themselves. People love to talk about their families, and not a lot of people ask them about their lives or their families. So really just I think the word that everyone can take away is be intentional with what you do, but I'm very intentional with these conversations to make them feel like I'm not just hearing them, but I'm actively listening and I'm making a big difference for them and being a resource for them. Other than that, I check in with my loan partners, if we have any leads. We have a lot of systems in place where, it gives them their home values and sometimes they get those leads. But I do accountability with my loan partners, with my team also. That way, we're at the top of mind for each other and we have common goals and common interests there.
I love that. So let's go back to the calls because I will tell you that I have a lot of realtors that I'm like, okay, are you calling your database? Or even some of our team, where I'm like, call your database. And they're like, well, what am I going to say? I don't want to call somebody every other, twice a month to tell them, hey, do you have a closing? Do you working with us? Blah, 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 blah. So talk to me, tell me, what is it that, because I love people too, right? Like I can get on a phone and I can have a conversation, but some people I feel are a little shyer. So, what would you say to someone who's maybe struggling making those phone calls because they don't have a reason to? So, I know that you use your events as a reason as well, but give me a little bit of that conversation when you talk to your
Sure.
client.
I used to be really scared to pick up the phone, and my coach back then had told me that it's okay to apologize for not doing my job. And I would say, "Hey, Sarah, I'm so sorry. I've been so busy with all of my clients. Even if you didn't have a bunch of clients, just tell them that. I've been so busy with my clients that I haven't had an opportunity to connect with you one on one and see how you're doing. The conversation doesn't necessarily have to be about real estate or asking someone to buy or sell. It just has to be a conversation. So I would say, how has the house been? Have you guys done any improvements to the house? I want to see pictures, make them feel special at the end. Just have a conversation with them. Did you hear about the new spot that we had that opened up? Have you guys tried it? I live in a very small town. I think our population's it's not that small, but 400,000 or so. And so when a new restaurant opens, everyone goes to it and it's packed for like, a month or two. So I just come with like a little information for them of, are you interested to know if your house value has changed? Do you know anyone else who wants to buy or wants to sell at the end of the day? But most importantly, I just have a conversation about them and allow them to vent to me or talk to me. And I would say maybe 7 out of 10 times they need to refinance, they need to buy a different home, they're having a kid. If someone is, living in a two bed, two bath and they're having a kid or two, what do they need to do at the end of the day? They probably need to upsize, right? Oh, the kids went away to college and we're empty nesters now. Okay, what probably needs to happen at that point? So you don't know unless you have these conversations with them. But I'm really good at like connecting these puzzle pieces together and making it work and finding out what's going to work for people at the end of the day. But if you haven't talked to someone in a long time, call them, apologize that you've been so busy and just have a conversation with them about what their work has been like or their family's been like and see if they need anything, if there's anything at all, you can do to help them.
I love that. So again, just to connect. So you're saying you're just having a conversation. Hey, I just wanted to connect. How are you doing? I'm interested in you. Did you decorate? Did you do something with the yard? He personalizes that. He's also talking about, in where he's at, new restaurants are a big deal. So he's talking about, hey, did you hear about this restaurant? I know that there's realtors around here that are on this call right now that sometimes they will make reservations on restaurants, especially if they're hot or around Valentine's, Andre, and then he will be like, hey, I have reservations for this restaurant at that time, hit me up. So you're just having this conversation to engage and just have this conversation now. I love that you do something because you're not, in order for them to kind of be your prospect for you and be your raving fans, you're creating client events that are special for your A clients, and then you're putting them on social. So tell me a little bit about your strategy of doing these events and engaging people so that they're calling you being like, why wasn't I invited to this event? Oh, this event is for the people who've referred me more than 5 people this year. Hint, 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 wink, wink, wink. So tell me a little bit about that strategy.
Yeah, so I guess the first thing in that question is I don't have these calls or have these events with the sole purpose of I need to get deals out of these events. I don't sell hungry, I don't sell desperately. I am present for these, clients because I want to have that presence in my community. But we do, I want to be a pillar in our community, but we do some events throughout the year. We have an annual pumpkin painting event and every year we're improving it. And our clients know about this event every single year. So, for example, we get like bushels of hay, we get pumpkins for the kids to pick. We dress up as a team. Last year we were a Toy Story theme. We had a jumping house. What is it called? A bounce house. And we had a little, popsicle cart and we just invited all of our past clients out. So that was one where we invited all of our clients out, and we do a couple events like that every year. But it's something fun, it's something that they can post about it, and other people are going to be like, "Oh, what was that? I didn't hear about that happening in the community." And it's just a word of mouth sort of thing. Yes, we do get, 5 or 10 deals from those events every year just because we are remaining at the top of their mind, but we don't have that intention at all. We go out for the day, we have fun, we throw a great event for our clients and they think about us at the end of the day. We recently did something a little bit different. And so we had I like to call him a celebrity chef. He was on Food Network, he was featured on Netflix, and he does a lot of work in LA, but he does cookie decorating, like really, really cute, fancy cookies. He does cakes. He does like, all of these sorts of things. But me and my team, we took our top 50 clients and we invited them to this VIP event. And I told my clients, and I chose my A-list clients that refer us a lot of business. We had full video coverage. We had everything was posted on social media. And we had this celebrity chef come in, and it was a fun little real estate themed cookie night. We had drinks. We partnered up with a couple sponsors, and it was just a fun night where people could just decompress and decorate cookies. And those people who posted about it, we had so many people saying like, "Oh, I didn't hear about this," and so it was a conversation of, because these clients have referred us a couple of clients over the last year or a couple of months. They were invited to this event, and we hope that you can refer us some clients so we can add you to this list. But that's what we do. Again, we didn't do it with the intention to get clients out of it, but we did it to stay at the top of mind and make our A-list clients feel really special. That what they're doing, they're helping us, and we want to give back to you and throw a super fun night for you at the end of the day. And these tickets are completely sold out for the next like few months. I just had a connection that could kind of like do a private event for us. So it worked out really well.
I love that. So using your connections. So I love the fact that you're saying, I mean, it looks like everything that you do is very intentional. You're doing it in a positive mindset. You are really trying to bring value to the community. One of the things that you said that I absolutely love is that what is it? You don't sell hungry, you don't sell desperate. What was it that you said?
Yeah, I don't sell hungry and I don't sell desperate because Tabitha, her great coach, told me this. Buyers and sellers can feel it. They can feel when you're being pushy and they can tell, and they often don't want to work with someone who's going to act like that. So I'm not saying have the attitude like, oh, I don't need your business, or oh, if you want to buy the house, but genuinely have the mindset that you want to help someone. My line, which you guys are all welcome to take, I shared with Sarah that I can give you my recipes and no one will ever make it the same as me. But I always tell my clients, my job is to give you all of your options on a silver platter. And at the end of the day, it's your job to pick what you would like. My job is to give you the option. And I'm going to give you my advice as a real estate professional. But at the end of the day, you can choose to buy this or you can choose not to buy this. You can choose to offer this or not offer this. You can choose to go up or down wherever you would like. I'm here to answer any questions, but at the end of the day, I'm not here to push you into a home. I'm not here to force you to sell your home. I'm not here to tell you to take this offer. But at the end of the day, I want you to feel comfortable with me that I'm gonna have the best outcome in mind for you at the end of the day. And every time I say that, my clients are so comfortable, they're so relaxed around me, and I want the client that's gonna trust me. They're gonna be okay with what my advice is at the end of the day. I don't want a client who's questioning me along the way. If someone's questioning you along the way, you did not do your presentation well enough, whether it's a buyer presentation or a seller presentation. So that's it. I have fun with it. My clients know I have fun with it. We make it a whole experience. We live probably a couple hours from LA, and no one here really gives this white glove luxury sort of service. And I don't mean luxury like high price points. I just mean like A+ customer service. Be on it when they need something, respond to them, answer your phone, make them feel like you're there for them. They're hiring you for a reason. And that's what we do, and it works really, really well.
Now, what do you do to stay consistent? Because everybody can give, white glove service for one deal. And a lot of the times, what realtors really struggle with is the fact that once you have a deal, they focus on that deal and they forget to prospect or do their money making activities. So, what do you personally do in order to make sure that you're being consistent?
I delegate. My job is to open the escrow and to negotiate, and then I pass it along to my transaction coordinator. I have a lot of systems in place for my transaction coordinator. The day we open escrow, a text needs to go out, emails need to go out, set up the file how it needs to be set up, make sure the client knows where to send their deposit, make sure they know what our timeline looks like, what our contingency periods are. So that's all taken care of. I handle the negotiations and that's all I handle. I don't handle, disclosures. I don't handle a lot of those things. We have, people to do that. Why would I focus on something that would maybe earn me $100 or $200 that I could pay someone that when I could go focus my hour or 2 hours, earning an extra, whatever your average deal is at the end of the day, whatever that commission looks like. So, knowing when to I love control. I'm very, very type A, but that was a really big challenge for me of it's okay if I hand it off to someone and it's not done absolutely perfect, but it allows me to spend more time doing what I need to do and what's going to make me the most money rather than doing the administrative work that I don't necessarily need to be doing at the end of the day.
But I want to pause and I want everybody to hear what you said because to me that's so important. A lot of the times people say, I don't delegate because they just don't do it right and then I have more issues and it falls onto me. He said he has systems. He's given his TC and other people a timeline of what he wants to be because he's everything that I've heard from you is that you're prepping people to follow a system. If
Mhm.
somebody's questioning you, is because you didn't do your job at the beginning of the presentation of reading that person, number one, so that you can give them what they need so they trust you. It's all about communication and reading that person. Number two, communication, communication, communication. If you heard what his system was, is as soon as he opened escrows, there's a text that goes out. There's a timeline that goes out. He is setting expectations with his clients, letting them know this is when you're going to hear from us. This is when you're going to do this. This is when the next step is going to happen. So then he can focus on making the conversations of how are you doing? Are you excited to move in? Are you going to decorate? What are you going to do? Like all those friend conversations.
I
Um,
also do a lot of prep work when we do our buyer's presentation initially. I don't show unqualified clients. If they are approved, that is when we look. And before we look, we have to do a buyer broker agreement now, pretty much across the board. But I tell them I'm really big on educating my clients. That way, once we go into escrow, there's not a step in the process where they feel like they don't know what's going on. And that's pretty much it. They trust me at that point, and that's pretty much it. One of my coaches told me a long time ago that if the deal's going to close, it's going to close. If this person's going to buy this house, they're going to buy this house. If they're going to list with you, they're going to list with you. A lot of times we kind of force a deal to happen and we spend a lot of time there. It's not worth it at the end of the day. You spend so much time trying to stick a deal together that if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. Focus on getting new deals that are going to seamlessly close, and that's what we focus on at the end of the day. It hurts when you have one or two escrows open and one falls out, but if you have 5, 10, 15 escrows, if one falls out, it's not going to hurt as bad. So focus on getting new deals at the end of the day.
I love that. Focus on being consistent, be intentional, and do the work is what I'm hearing. Now, let's go back a little bit and talk about, and as a reminder, if you guys are interested in hearing specifically about something else, or you want to ask any questions, just feel free to go into the chat and I can ask him. I want to talk about your CRM because that's another thing. I can't tell you how many times we work with realtors who are like, "Oh, I joined a new brokerage, so now I can't work for the next 3 months because I'm putting my database from this CRM to that CRM," and and it's like this whole thing. And you're young, you're innovative, you're kind of like all this thing, and you use a Google Sheet or an Excel spreadsheet. So let's talk a little bit about, but you are consistent about making notes, writing things down. So let's talk about a little bit about how you systemize writing things down, what kind of notes you prioritize, and how do you make this Excel spreadsheet kind of work the best for you?
I see a lot of, I mean, agents on my team, I see it also happen that, they spend so much time setting up their CRM, putting all their clients in there, and then they just they're not consistent with it, and it just sits there at the end of the day. I use really simple sheets. I use the Notes app on my phone. Like, I keep it super simple. I use Google Calendar. My whole life is coordinated with every single meeting that I have, and every single escrow is different, also color coordinated. But that's what I do. I'm a very OCD person there, but my emails are all tabbed and my spreadsheets are color coordinated, but simple. Name, email, phone number. I have a note section, any important notes that they talk about where I can add it there so I don't forget next time. I don't have the fancy drip systems. I don't do that. I don't do the follow-up systems. A couple of my lending partners, they do the whole like home valuation systems. Once they close, they put them in there. That'll get sent out every, couple months or so. But I know what I need to do. I know I need to go in the spreadsheet at least a couple times a week. I need to talk to, 5, 10 people throughout the week. Um, and that's pretty much it. I know contacts are really important, but Tabitha knows that I have a very, very low contact goal. I don't need to talk to, 150 people a week. I can talk to 10 people a week and I'm going to convert, two or three of those people at the end of the day because my mindset is everything. If I tell myself I need to convert X amount of people, I do what I have to do at the end of the day to make that happen.
I love that. And I think that because you track it, I can see a couple of my teammates laughing when you were saying that you're type A and you coordinate everything, Rosa, because she knows I'm very type A as well. And I love to have everything like everything because I'm intentional. I want to track it. Numbers are your friends. Numbers are your friends because if I know, like for him, a lot of the times they tell people how many 100 people you're supposed to call to make one deal. But if you know that if you call 5 or 10 and you do two, which is your goal for the week, then you're not stressed out because you're only calling 10. But you wouldn't know what your conversion is unless you track it.
I don't have time to talk to all of those people every week because I'm so busy with my schedule and I have like full-time law school at night that I work with what I have. I have a very limited amount of people that I can talk to, that I have the time for. And I'm very, very intentional with those conversations. And again, it's just your mindset. If you talk to 10 people and you tell yourself, I'm going to set one appointment, you're going to set one appointment. And it is what it is. And if you didn't set the appointment, it's because you're not asking the right questions. I know most everyone knows this. It's 80, 85% questions and 15 to 20% you actually talking or answering those questions. But that's it. It's a formula that works. And I'm a resource here for whoever needs it at the end of the day.
I love that. So you have a team and you've grown your team. The first thing that I want to so I want a couple of things if you guys didn't notice. Number one, even when he started, he was telling you guys that even when he had 5 deals a year, he already had big goals. So he started working with a coach that held
Mhm.
him accountable, worked with his systems, and worked with his scripts. Because it's
Yes.
85% about the questions that you ask. Are you being effective on the questions that you ask? And what are you hearing back? That active listening that he's talking about. It now he says, these are my strengths. I have to be consistent. We talked yesterday or the other day, um, a few days ago, and he was talking about real estate are simple tasks, but the problem is it's hard to stay consistent. So the tasks aren't hard, it's the stay consistent part. So he realized for himself that if he wanted to stay consistent on his money making activities, he needed to delegate the rest because he's type A and he wants this white glove service. He needed to systemize how the follow up was going to happen, delegate it, inspect it every so often, and now he can focus on his thing. Who's your dream team? When I have a realtor that's starting to get busy and starting to say, okay, you know what, I'm all in, I'm going to focus, I'm going to work my database, but I need to delegate, who's my dream team?
Well, I have a great loan partner, first of all, that qualifies all of our clients. You need a transaction coordinator for sure. I mean, what you're going to save $250, $300, but how much time are you going to spend doing that work? I have my own personal assistant, and then she is our director of operations for our team now as well. And then a great escrow officer at the end of the day. That's it. My team is very small, but I do a lot of work still. If, I think this year, my close and pending so far, I'm at about 75 deals for the year. But I do, I've worked with Tabitha on this. I do 30 minutes in the morning of admin and 30 minutes in the evening so I can kind of like patch the holes of things that are happening because everyone is human at the end of the day and some things are missed. And my job is to kind of catch them at the end of the day. I have a first line of defense, second line of defense, but at the end of the day, when something goes out, my name is on the paper and I need to make sure things are done. But I would say, a couple of assistants, if you're not on a team, join a team. I think it's totally worth it at the end of the day. What are we saving? A little bit of commission, but it's worth it to have those resources and those people at the end of the day. But that's it. My dream team is very small, but I do quite a bit of the legwork myself because I can do things very quickly and I'm really good at multitasking at the end of the day.
I love that. So tell me, how do you keep you and your team on track? Do you do a scoreboard, daily huddles? Like, what do you do?
Okay, so I incentivize my team a lot. This year, when we get to 175 transactions, I told them I am paying for their. We've done a team trip every year. The last couple of years, we've done Hawaii. Um, and this year, we settled on Portugal. So if we hit 175 deals, I'm taking everyone to Portugal, to Lisbon, for 5 to 7 days. I'm paying for their hotels and their flights. And so they're incentivized to sell a lot of houses. We also, at the end of the day, we have team meetings once a week, and then I have one-on-ones with my team members every week as well. So I have my time allocated for that for a quick 30-minute meeting. Where are we? What do we need to do? Those of you that have watched Selling Sunset and they meet in the front, it's very similar to that. It's like quick powwow, like what do we need to do? Set some goals for the week. What are we struggling with? What are we seeing? How's the market? Um, and that's pretty much it. Setting a plan for them for the week. And then on Wednesday is about accountability and what do we need to do? Where are they at personally? I've learned that every single agent is different. They have different strengths, different weaknesses. And so I'm able to kind of be that chameleon and adapt. I'm not an analytical person at all. I don't love numbers. Yes, I love numbers when it's calculating my commission and doing what I need to do there. But I can kind of chameleon into the different personality styles for them so I can help them improve. But clearly I'm a driver when it comes to work, and when I'm talking to people, I'm the most expressive person that you can be. But that's it. Simple Tuesday meeting, Wednesday one-on-ones that I have with my team. And I'm also kind of in all of the transactions. So when we have like 30, 35 escrows going at a time, I'm still kind of like filtering everything through with my TC, with my admin. But that's pretty much it.
I love it. So, let's go back a little bit to mindset, because
Yes.
I think your mindset is what, a lot of the times people are like, oh, mindset, mindset. And mindset is so much more important than what people give it credit for. Because I love something that you said, and I don't know if everybody captured that, but you were like, if a deal's going to fall through, if something is not going to go, then just move on to the next thing. And I would say that 99% of the people, especially in real estate, don't do that. Like, even as much as I have a very strong mindset, sometimes if I have a bad deal go south, I'll spend the whole rest of the day like, man, we worked so hard and this and that. And they went with blah, 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 blah. And you just capture that instead of being like, you know what? It is what it is. Go on to the next deal. Focus on the next deal. Focus on getting the next deal. So, how do you keep that mindset of focus on the next deal and work on the next deal and don't worry about that without making it look like transactional, right? So tell
Yeah.
me a little bit about that.
So there's a couple things. I'll talk about my routine to having a strong mindset and a resource that I really love. I think that, so let's start with my routine. I wake up and I think about what my day is going to look like. I'm really big on visualizations and manifestations and law of attraction. Yes, I'm that person because it works for me. But I think about what is my day going to look like. And when I think about, I'm gonna get a listing today. I'm gonna get a call from somewhere. I'm gonna make it happen, or I'm gonna call someone and do what I need to do. It's gonna happen 9 out of 10 times. I'm really big on my gratitudes and my affirmations. Get a journal, write it down, write what you're grateful for. A lot of us have great lives we live, and we just need to remember to stay positive at the end of the day because trust me, it could be a lot worse than what our lives are at the end of the day.
And wait,
Um,
wait, wait, wait. I want to
yes,
pause this. You said something so powerful, and it took me a minute. You
yes,
wake up and you're like, I'm gonna get a listing today. And
yeah.
I just want everybody here to take 1 second and imagine and be honest with yourself. If you woke up and in your heart of hearts you thought you were positive that you were going to get a listing, wouldn't you answer the phone differently? Wouldn't you approach people differently? Because you were like, oh, is this going to be the person? Is this going to be the person? So he's already prepping his mindset to be open to being alert for that, to be looking for those opportunities, to hearing those questions where he could go in there. Instead of being like, who do I have to call to say if they want to buy or sell? He's like, no, I'm going to get a listing today. So every conversation, he's having that mindset of, is this the person? I'm going to listen and I'm going to see where my in is. So I love that. Okay. So then your gratitudes, being
Yeah.
realistic, and being grateful for what we do have.
Yes. And I've learned that the opportunities are there. We just don't see them, but it's training your mind to see them and grab the opportunities because they're around us all of the time. I think feeding your brain with something positive is always good. I have a great author that she's one of my favorite authors. Her name is Gabby Bernstein. If you have not heard her, pick up one of her books, listen to her. Whenever I feel like I'm in a funk, I pick up the book, I listen to my audiobook, and immediately my mood has changed. But I just wake up thinking I'm gonna have the best day ever. I'm gonna have the best conversations. And I just think like I'm meant to do this. I'm great at what I do and I'm deserving of it at the end of the day. And 9 out of 10 times it's gonna happen and I'm gonna get something. But that's staying in my positive mindset. That's how I do it. People have shitty days. We're humans. It's life. If you have a shitty day, go home and just be done. That is my rule. Like, if it's like thing after thing after thing, just wrap it up. Let's go home. It's 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, call it a day, have a glass of wine. And the next day, start again. Start again. And it's a fresh day. It's a new day. Forget about what it was. It will most likely resolve itself, whatever seemed to be that important to you or whatever was stressing you out that much. But the next day is the next day. Treat it like a new day and that you have new opportunities available for yourself that day. But that's it. I mean, we're humans, don't forget that. But we have a lot of like little superpowers that we don't know about. And it's like a lot of this is just finding the opportunities around us and they're there. Trust me, I prove it and I test it every day and it works a lot of the time.
I love that. And I think it's very telling where you see top producers, all of them talk about their mindset and how they just gear themselves up that it's going to be a positive day no matter what. And they're grateful for what they have. So we only have a few minutes left. I don't see any questions. So let's talk a little bit about balance of life. Because you're a full-time law student, you are killing it, you are still inspecting what your team is doing, you're prospecting, you're having all of these things. Tell me a little bit about what you do to ensure that you're having a balance of life, because that's like one of my biggest things, right? We always say, like, people ask me like, what's your why? I'm like, I do everything that I do for my kids, but then my kids are growing and I'm barely home because I'm working all these hours. It's like, how is that balance of life, right? So how do you keep making sure that you have a balance of life, maybe rack and stack, or what do you do to make sure you're focused on that?
I think balance it's really hard. I think it's just the idea of balance is just a hard topic. But I would say focus on a couple things that you love to do. So, for example, I love to bake and I love to play pickleball. So, every morning, at least 3 mornings a week, it is a non-negotiable for me. I have to wake up, whether it's 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, whatever it is, and go play, an hour and a half pickleball. On the weekend, for those of you, you might like to cook for your family and that's decompressing for you. Cooking might stress people out. So, if that's you, don't do that. Pick something that works for you, but try to find some time and plan it into your week for you to take time for you. Saturdays, for example, or I'm sorry, yeah, Saturdays, for example, if I'm not doing an open house, that's my day where I just like I don't deal with anyone. Like that's my day. I'll get back to you tomorrow when I'm doing everything on Sunday. But mindset is really important. Mental health is really important. But just spending time, I calendar a lot of my stuff and even my personal time. I have my friends that are like, "Oh, let's go to dinner," and I'm like, "Okay, I can do this in 3 Fridays from now. Like, let's calendar it in now, so we can get that taken care of." Um, but it is what it is. Balance is hard. Start with one thing that is really, really important to you, and find a time to make for it in your week, and start from there. And if you have a little bit more flexibility, add in a couple more things. But if you feel like you're unbalanced, that's also normal and that's okay. Just try to focus on one thing and make time for that for some you time throughout the week.
Well, you are incredible. Thank you so much for your time and just for your authenticity. Like, I
Sure.
think seeing someone who's playing at such a high level and being, and he just came back from spending a week in Paris, by the way, and or through Europe and having all this fun, and he still made time to be at our mindset. So I really appreciate everything that you've shared. Please go ahead and put your contact information in case anybody wants to reach out to you. In the meantime, guys, As a reminder, we have a YouTube channel where we put all of our masterminds afterwards, and they also go in our newsletter. So I'm going to ask Camila or Tom to go ahead and put the link to our newsletter if you're not signed up. But in our newsletters, not only do you get videos on contract tips or best practices or new legislations that are coming in the different states that we do business, but we also put a link to our previous masterminds. And we're here to provide value to you. So if there is anything in specific that you want to hear about, that you would like us to bring a speaker to you, please let me know. That's what we're here for. Again, thank you everybody for attending this incredible mastermind. Alishaan, you're amazing. I love seeing you just thrive. I love his, social media is always fresh and it's fun. And, you are amazing. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everybody. And if you're interested in the recording, again, sign up for our newsletter so that you can get it next month.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.